It's the amazing Rico Brogna podcast with your host, Evan Roberts.
Ladies and gentlemen, your LD offense. Let me just specify, because it is a new season, for the kids listening, hold your ears. I think they say earmuffs for a second. Limp dick offense. Okay, that's what it is. And that's what we witnessed as the New York Mets get shut out by, let's go through the names, Andre Palante, Gordon Graceffo, Ryan Stanek, I mean, you can't make that up, Jojo Romero, and Riley O'Brien. 3 hits, 0 runs, and 0 with runners in scoring position, and the New York Mets offense, which has struggled since opening day, but they have managed to, score a run here and there, get shut out on a Tuesday night in St. Louis. I don't think we should over-exaggerate. I don't think we should panic, obviously. It's the Mets' second loss of the season. But it is okay to be frustrated. It is okay to look at some of the at-bats we saw in this baseball game and be disgusted. That's okay. And really, you can go up and down the list if you're looking for people to blame. For whatever reason, I think Bo Bichette probably deserves a lot of it because Bo Bichette's in the middle of a lot of opportunities. And I think that's why he's going to take a lot of heat. Sure, he makes a lot of money. Sure, he's got the resume, home run in Game 7 of the World Series. But the other guy that jumped out at me was Marcus Semien. And he didn't have a lot of opportunities in this game, but it's a reminder that so far Marcus Semien has done absolutely nothing. But it wasn't just him. And it really wasn't like a million failed opportunities. They were struggling to generate base runners. They just didn't do anything offensively from top to bottom. I think the only guy who kind of gets exonerated from this is Juan Soto, who was on base 2 more times in this game. A 1-out single in the first that went nowhere, and that double in the 6th inning. And that was really the inning where the LD offense showed its face. At that point in the game, you're down by 2. It's 2-0. Soto rips that double into right field. You got a runner on second and nobody out. Bo Bichette draws a walk. And so now you have first and second, nobody out, down by 2 with Robert Jr. and Jared Young coming up. And Robert Jr. just misses one. Gets under one, hits it to deep center field, gets the sacrifice fly, which there's some value in because 2-0 in the 6th inning, at least get a run home. I mean, we'd love to get it all back, but at least get on the scoreboard. And now you have first and third with 1 out. And it's tough to really kill anybody on this. Jared Young hits this soft line drive, and Bo Bichette hesitates for just a second, and he gets doubled off first base. A really strong throw by Mason Wynn. I guess you can criticize Bo a little bit. I don't think it was egregious, but that slight hesitation cost him. And that was the opportunity. Now, with that said, you miss out on that opportunity in the 6th inning. You're allowed to score in the 7th, 8th, and 9th against the Cardinal bullpen. And think about who you're facing. Ryan Stanek, of all people. Ryan Stanek. How many times did he make us suffer? How many times did Ryan Stanek come into a game and crap all over himself? And instead, Ryan Stanek works around a 1-out walk. Actually got Francisco Alvarez to just miss on a fly ball to deep right center field when Mendy used the bullet of going to Alvarez over Luis Torrens. But look, this offense has done nothing. It wasn't just this game. They were able to overcome it in Game 1 of this series. And like I said on the previous Rico, episode 660, yes, it wasn't pretty. Yes, they left a million guys on base. Yes, they struggled with runners in scoring position. But you take your win and you run. And you know that you need to be better. They were not better today. They were not better. And it is, top to bottom. Francisco Lindor was 0 for 3 with a walk. Bo Bichette, again, came up with so many opportunities. He came up with a runner on and 1 out in the first. He flies out. He swings 3-0 with a runner on second and 2 outs in the 3rd inning and hit the ball hard. Unfortunately, hit it at the third baseman. He did draw that walk in the 6th inning, and he grounded out in the 8th. Bo Bichette did nothing. So for the positive that you take out of what Bichette did in Game 1 of this series, the eventual game-winning hit, even hitting that hard line drive right at the right fielder in his last at-bat, this was another wasted effort by Bichette, who is now 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. One of the beauties, one of the perks of acquiring Bo Bichette was how good he's been with runners in scoring position. And I certainly have the faith that he'll eventually get back to that, but he's not off to a good start. There's no denying that. Luis Robert Jr. quieted down a little bit after his hot homestand and his off day yesterday. Jared Young had a base hit, but he was a quiet 1-for-4. Mark Vientos was given an opportunity and did nothing in his 2 at-bats. I mentioned Marcus Semien, who has been extremely quiet. Carson Benj took an offer, and they got nothing from the catcher spot. I mean, they had 3 hits in this game. They got absolutely nothing from their offense. As far as the lineup that was constructed by Mendy, I had an issue a day earlier with Jared Young being in the lineup over Mark Vientos. I didn't hate Jared Young starting this game only because I am a believer in rewarding those who perform. Like, if you're going to put a guy in the starting lineup and that guy's going to come through with a big RBI double, I am not opposed to saying, hey, you performed, I'm going to give you another start. So I didn't hate, as much as this may surprise many out there, because of the amount of times I've killed Jared Young being in the lineup, including asking Carlos Mendoza point blank what's your love affair with him. I didn't hate him being in the lineup. Not saying I loved it, but I didn't hate it. Again, I like the reward. I like, hey, you played well, you've earned another start. And truthfully, when you look at Jared Young in this game, while he missed out on an opportunity in the first inning with 2 on and 2 out, and he missed out on an opportunity in the 6th inning with 2 on and 1 out, so he did come up with a couple of big RBI opportunities. He had a base hit in this game, and he made a great defensive play, which we should not forget about. I mean, just a brilliant diving play in the 7th inning as Dickie Lovelady was letting a 2-0 game become a 3-0 game, and potentially worse if not for that play by Young. My issue with Jared Young in the lineup is where he was hitting. That would be my issue. Not necessarily him playing. Like Jared Young batting 5th. Jared Young coming up with RBI opportunities like I just pointed out. That's the part I don't love. Now, the counter to that is, okay, if Jared Young is not hitting 5th, who is? And I think that's part of the problem right now. I mean, should it have been Mark Vientos? Should it have been Marcus Semien, who's been batting 7th this season? They right now have a very soft lineup, at least 5 games into the season. But I don't love Jared Young batting 5th. I did like the fact that he gave Mark Vientos a start because you got to at least give him a chance, an opportunity to impress. He had 1 at-bat coming into this game, and it was a clutch base hit. So I like the fact that he got Vientos in this game. And Mark didn't do much. Now, this isn't going to be his only opportunity because they are facing a bunch of lefties coming up. So I think he'll be out there a little bit more. And I think that's a part of why Jared Young also got the start. I think Jared Young's going to sit. I think Brett Beatty's going to play against the lefties too, by the way. Like, I think at least there's an opportunity to play him against the lefties. Now, you may ask, how's that going to happen? The way I envision it, or at least the way I would draw it up, is Carson Benj probably gets a day. Probably sits against the lefty. Not all of the lefties, but I'm going to guess for the Wednesday afternoon game against Liberatore that they'll sit Carson Benj. Brett Beatty can play right. And then Vientos and Polanco, assuming Polanco is healthy enough to play, will either play first base or DH. So I think the other reason why you give Young the game is not only to reward him for the RBI double, but because he's probably not going to play in the next few days. So I was not angry necessarily about the starting lineup. Brett Beatty not playing is probably the tough part. You know what I would have considered doing, honestly? Because, again, if I'm saying, hey, I'm good with Vientos playing and I'm good with Jared Young playing, but I want Beatty to play, well, who's sitting? I would have considered sitting Marcus Semien. You know, I mentioned he's done nothing offensively. He's in his mid-30s. He's no spring chicken. And if you're trying to get guys at bats, and if you're trying to keep guys fresh, and Brett Beatty deserves to play over Marcus Semien, then you sit Marcus Semien. I'm not telling you I'm benching him forever, but I am telling you on a Tuesday night in St. Louis, game 5 of the season, it's not the worst thing in the world to sit him. But overall, they got to get it going. They got to get the bats going. Right now, Juan Soto is the only guy hitting, and that's got to change. There is a positive to talk about, though. And I was debating even before whining, if that's what you want to call this. I don't think I've whined for 10 minutes. I think I've described their offensive ineptitude for 10 minutes. But I was debating, you know what? I should ignore the LD offense. I should ignore the fact the Mets lost to the Cardinals 3-0. We'll get to it, but why not start with Kodai Senga? Because of all the things that occurred in this baseball game, that's probably the most important thing that happened. More important than even the offense doing nothing. Because I think when push comes to shove, we have a level of confidence that the offense is going to be a lot better than this. Kodai Senga is coming off a year in which he was utterly brilliant in the first, I guess it was 11 starts that he made prior to that injury against the Nationals in mid-June, when our former first baseman made an errant throw, innocently enough, and Kodai Senga ended up injuring his hamstring. It was like two different seasons for Kodai Senga. And to put that in perspective, Kodai Senga threw 6 or more innings 6 times last season, all of which in April, May, and June. When he came back from the injury, he did not go 6 innings one time, not once. Kodai Senga was a different pitcher when he came back from the injury. We also jumped into the offseason where a lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you, wanted him traded, wanted him dumped, wanted to get rid of him. You were sick of him. And Kodai Senga, to his credit, worked his ass off, had a big spring training. We saw the pop in his fastball, the velocity jump that he had in spring training. But ultimately, all that's a great story. He's got to go out there and perform. He's got to go out there and pitch. And in Kodai Senga's first start of the season, completing the first turn in this rotation, in which every one of the starters outside of Minaya made a start, the only one to go 6 innings, the only one to complete a 6th inning, which means the only one to give you a quality start as it's defined in the stat book, was Kodai Senga. It wasn't Freddie Peralta. It wasn't Nolan McLean. It wasn't David Peterson. It wasn't Clay Holmes. It was Kodai Senga. That matters. That means something. That was a very encouraging performance by Senga. There are a lot more steps in the Senga redemption tour, but stop number 1 was a huge positive. And what I really liked about what Kodai did in this game is it wasn't easy. Like, he faced adversity. There were moments in this game where I'm sure you thought, all right, here we go. Here comes the unraveling. Go right back to the very beginning of this game when he gives up a leadoff hit to the rookie J.J. Weatherholt, or right after he walks Alec Burleson, and there's 2 on and 1 out in the first inning. Now, he was given a gift from the baseball gods when Mason Wynn, for whatever reason, and I can't figure it out, with 2 on and 1 out in the bottom of the first inning, decides to lay down a bunt. I don't know what he was thinking, but again, Kodai Senga needed to field that bunt, which he did. He decided to throw to third and make an accurate throw, which he did. And Keith Hernandez even made the comment, I'm glad he didn't hurt his hamstring on that play, because it was a very awkward play as Senga fielded it and threw to third base. And then he needed to get the last out of the inning against Nolan Gorman, and he did. So it was not an easy first inning for Kodai Senga, but he got through it. And then he has this dominant second inning where he strikes out the side. So it's all good, right? We're feeling good. He's popping it at 99. You're like, damn, all right, we got Kodai Senga. But I was even thinking this. As a Senga supporter, I was thinking this. Great, he's gotten through 2 innings. But one thing we remember about second half Senga is that it can disappear at any moment. When you least expect it, a good start can slip away. And you go to the 3rd inning, and this is where I thought Kodai was at his most impressive self. You may notice this on the Rico. Sometimes I'm most impressed by a pitcher limiting damage or getting out of trouble more than just dominating. He gives up that leadoff double to Victor Scott. Really, it was a play Luis Robert Jr. should have made. Luis Robert Jr. had a very shaky 3rd inning defensively. He takes a step in on the Scott fly ball to center, and it turns into a double. Then Senga gives up a base hit to Weatherholt. Again, Luis Robert Jr. makes a mistake because he comes up throwing, even though Victor Scott is being held at third base. He misses the cutoff man. Weatherholt, as a rookie with really sharp base running, goes to second. Second and third, nobody out. And then promptly gives up a booming double to Ivan Herrera. So stop right there. Pause right there. It is 2-0 St. Louis. It's the bottom of the third inning. There's a runner on second and nobody out. Did anybody think Kodai Senga was getting through 6 innings at that point? Was there a confidence that Kodai Senga was going to make this a good quality start at that point? The answer is probably no. The answer is probably, yeah, here we go. This is typical Senga. It's going to completely unravel the defensive miscues by Luis Robert Jr. It's going to completely destroy Kodai Senga's start. And after he gives up that double, he gets Burleson to pop up the shortstop. He gets Wynn to ground out the second, and he gets Gorman to ground out the second. That was a huge sequence because we didn't know at the time that the LD offense would do nothing. What we know in that moment is, all right, a 2-0 game could have been far worse, and he kept it at 2. And from there, he gives you an efficient, and that was what was so important, an efficient fourth inning. But we're not through the woods yet with Kodai Senga because in the fifth inning, again, very typical and worrisome of a start that can spiral out of nowhere, he's got 2 outs and nobody on, and he walks Ivan Herrera, and he walks Alec Burleson. And he's affected, I think he was affected by a couple of pitches that were called strikes that were not strikes that got overturned. In a weird way, it almost would have benefited him more for the home plate umpire Hunter Wentelstadt to just get it right as opposed to calling it a strike, having the batters challenge, and having it be overturned. I wonder, I don't know if there's a stat yet for this, how much that distracts a pitcher or how much it lets down a pitcher. But out of absolute nowhere with 2 outs and nobody on in the fifth, he issues these back-to-back walks and makes a huge pitch against Mason Wynn, a 3-2 pitch, a payoff pitch to Win. And he gets him to ground out to Francisco Lindor at shortstop. That was another huge moment. And when Kodai Senga went to the dugout, his pitch count at that point was 79. But he had just thrown 26 pitches in that inning. So I wasn't sure if Carlos Mendoza was going to push him for the 6th inning. I was hoping he would because I kind of figured that Carlos Mendoza, again, in the midst of this long stretch of games without a day off, would be conservative with his bullpen. So I was really happy that Carlos Mendoza allowed Kodai Senga to come out for the 6th inning with a pitch count of 79. And how does he respond? He strikes out the side. Struck out the side. That after this laborious 5th inning in which he threw 26 pitches and out of seemingly nowhere, the start felt like it had a chance to unravel. So for all the hand-wringing about the offense, and rightfully so, be frustrated. They got shut out by a bunch of mediocre pitchers. Absolutely, you can be as upset as you want. Let us acknowledge that in his first start of 2026, Kodai Senga on a lot of levels pitched awesome. 6 innings, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, 3 walks. But more than anything that line score can't tell you, but we just did, is that he overcame adversity. And I think that's a really good sign. As far as Mendy's decision to go to Dickie Lovelady in the 7th inning, and obviously Dickie promptly gave up a home run to Ramon Urias, and then was able to dance through trouble in the 7th inning, helped out by that great defensive play by Jared Young. And then he pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning. I don't love it, but I get it. That's how I would explain it. It's very similar to what I was saying on The Fan about Aaron Boone's decision to allow Paul Blackburn to pitch a 2nd inning. I get it. I don't love it. Like, when you're investing time as a fan watching your team play, in the Yankee case, it was a West Coast game. In our case, it's just a normal Tuesday night, and it's a 2-0 game. You want to win. And so you look at your bullpen and you say, well, Luke Weaver didn't pitch last night. Why isn't he available? Huascar Brazaban didn't pitch the previous night. Why isn't he available? Not that Luis Garcia is a reliever that you love, but he should be available. We figure no Brooks Raley on a back-to-back. We figure no Tobias Myers. We figure no Sean Manaea. But those two guys I mentioned, Braziban and Weaver, should be available. And in the seventh inning, why not go to them to keep it close? And I get that. I get that point. But what Carlos Mendoza is thinking, and it will hopefully benefit us on Wednesday afternoon, is that you got a game on Wednesday, and you have a game on Thursday, and you have a game on Friday, and you have a game on Saturday. And as much as you don't want to give up on a game down 2-0, and you shouldn't, even though we now know that the offense didn't do anything, you also don't want to necessarily use your A-plus relievers, have your offense not come back, and then have those guys not available for Wednesday's game. So it's one of those things where I'm not telling you I love it. Obviously, I'm frustrated when I see Dickie Lovelady coming into the game, but I get it. Here's what the bigger issue is. To me, it's not Carlos Mendoza going to Dickie Lovelady. The bigger issue is, why is Dickie Lovelady still on the team? And if the answer is so he could eat these 2 innings and then be DFA'd, okay, fine, DFA him. And I'll be specific. I'm not going to dance around here. I'll tell you who should come up. If it's not activating Craig Kimbrell because you don't believe in him and you don't think he's ready, then Austin Warren should come up. Austin Warren was on the Syracuse shuttle a year ago. He pitched really well every time the Mets gave him an opportunity. He looked good in spring training. He's off to a good start in AAA. He didn't pitch today, which is a factor. Like, you also have to look at how guys are doing or when guys have pitched in AAA so that they can be fresh and available for when you call them up. But the problem with Dickie Lovelady, and look, I don't want to destroy him because he hasn't been awful. Like, he's appeared in 3 games. The first one he appeared in on Saturday, I thought he did a pretty good job. We commended him on the drive home, Rico. The game on Sunday, yes, it wasn't ideal. And even in this performance, in this game, game 2 of the series, he gave up the home run to Urias, but he got through the 7th, and he pitched a clean 8th inning. Like, ultimately, Dickie Lovelady hasn't been abysmal, but I didn't want him on the team. Shouldn't be here. I think the question around Mendy and the bullpen usage isn't about tonight. It's about the usage of Myers and Manaea. Because here's the rule that I think Carlos Mendoza needs to follow that will save everyone else in the bullpen. When you use Sean Manaea, when you use Tobias Myers, use them. Don't ask for 4 outs. Don't ask for 5 outs. Ask for more outs, especially when they look good, like Tobias Myers did a couple of days ago. Because the problem is when you use Myers for an inning and 2/3 or an inning and a third, the odds are he's not going to be available the next day. So when you use them, and you're fortunate that you've got 2 relievers that are starters who are right now stretched out, right? For this moment, they're stretched out. They're not always going to be stretched out, especially if you only use them for an inning or 2 innings at a time. Like, you're going to have to keep them stretched out by pitching them multiple innings and probably more than that, 4 or 5 innings potentially. When they come into a game and they're pitching well, which Myers did the other day, and even to a degree Manaea did a few days before that, use them longer. I think that's the adjustment Carlos Mendoza needs to make. But this game that they lost is not about bullpen usage. It's not about Dickie Lovelady. It's not about anything other than the fact that you cannot win a game. I'm going to split an atom right now. It's going to blow your mind. You ready for some baseball knowledge? You cannot win a game by scoring 0 runs. I know. That's freaking crazy, right? You cannot win a game by scoring 0 runs. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read some emails, and I'm going to do it in a timely way. Like, I'm going to start with a pregame email and then, like, go through this game to kind of hear from the Met fan as this game was going on. So, like, for example, at 7:09, this is about a half hour before first pitch, Zach writes, "Hey, Evan, I know on last night's show we talked about Jared Young being in the lineup, but this time I really don't understand it. If you want Vientos and the lefty in the lineup, why not put Brett Beatty? We know that Beatty is a better bat and fielder than Young at first base. Make it make sense. Surely Beatty doesn't need an off day yet. Hopefully this is not the 20th Jared Young email you read tonight." Well, I've chosen not to read all of them, but trust me, there were plenty. Frank writes, "Keith Hernandez likes Jared Young. He has pop, he's smart, and he's strong." Yes, Frank, that did jump out at me. when Keith Hernandez said that. He said he likes Jared Young. He's a big fan of Jared Young. Oh, man. Let's see. What else do we have here? More lineup emails. Let me skip that. Let's go to a first inning email. Aaron writes, man, I would have really liked to have seen Brett Beatty up with 2 on in the first as opposed to Jared Young. I just don't get it. Yeah, that was when Jared Young struck out with 2 men on base. Brian writes, and this is at 9:02. So this would be, I guess, about the 4th inning, probably right after Senga gave up the 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Brian writes, love the pod, guys. Been a Rico-er for a few years now. We appreciate that. Before anyone jumps on this train, I'll be the conductor. Kodai Senga is soft as baby poo. Soft. Say it like soft in a southern accent. It's definitely not a compliment. God forbid he ever picks up a teammate after they make a mistake. I hate seeing him on the mound. I hate looking at him. I know why they couldn't trade his ass last year. No one would give away a bucket of big league chew for his sorry ass. Senga sucks. 6 innings, 2 runs. I have a lot of emails about the Craig commercials on the SNY app. And I do feel bad. I talked to Craig about this off air, and he was like, yeah, they play the same commercial over and over again. It is not his fault, and I still haven't even seen the commercial. Eric from Rhode Island writes, this is the same goddamn team from last season. This is the same team. And his subject was LD. He actually said the phrase, but I only wanted to do that once today. Scott writes, if the Mets lose, I have no doubt it will end with Ryan Stanek striking out the side. Well, he didn't strike out the side, but he did pitch a clean 7th inning. So you did have a lot of that. Jeff writes, well, boys, here it is again. 6th inning, 2 on, 0 out. Will this LD offense wake up and score some runs or continue the doldrums and not hit with runners in scoring position? Nope. Still in hibernation. It's deja vu all over again. John from Brooklyn writes, I love to know who the various cleanup hitters have been over the last 2 to 3 years. I understand times have changed and lineups are so different than they were 20 years ago, but I feel like seeing guys like Jared Young and Jeff McNeil and Brandon Nimmo and others have just bothered the heck out of me. It's like right after your good guys come up, here come these weirdo type players that I'm not wanting to see up. It's been happening for years. Yeah, the cleanup poll has changed over the years. I think the best way to approach this is, who do you want hitting cleanup? Like, look at this current lineup. They've been using Jorge Polanco. He obviously didn't start in this game. In this game, it was Luis Robert Jr. There is no traditional perfect cleanup hitter in this lineup. Jorge Polanco probably is the best option, but he wasn't in the lineup today.
You know what? I just, in the 5 games that they've played, I feel like besides Soto, I'm not really feeling that there's a comeback in them. Like, I don't believe in this offense right now. I don't get the feel of like, hey, they're down 3-0, but there's a rally in them right now. And I know it's too early in the season to really be like, okay, it's never going to happen. But I'm watching the games going, they're like this all game, and nothing is going to change until somebody else comes into this and kind of like gets explosive and gets some energy.
Nobody's hitting. I mean, right now we're 5 games into the season, so it's not a huge sample size, but it's Juan Soto and Luis Robert Jr. That's pretty much it. I mean, you go up and down the lineup. I know Lindor had a couple of triples, but that's been pretty much it. He hasn't driven in a run yet. Bo Bichette has obviously really struggled. I think he's a big part of this, especially with the 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. So I don't want to make this about they don't come back or anything like that. They're just not hitting. They're not hitting in general. It's just a full lineup that since opening day when they scored the 11 runs just hasn't scored any runs.
So C-Mac, when Carlos Mendoza was on with C-Mac and Carton, I think it was C-Mac who asked about the lack of power. Like, who do you feel is going to replace the Pete Alonso power and all that stuff? And he went through the laundry list of players on this team, but they've hit 3 home runs in 5 games, which is whatever. But I mean, I do kind of feel that there's like not that threat of a power bat in the lineup.
Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor should hit 30 home runs. They haven't hit a home run yet. Like both of those
Right.
guys. Like they've hit 3 home runs this year. It's Carson Bench, who is their 8th place hitter, Francisco Alvarez, who's their 9th place hitter, and Luis Robert Jr. That's it. Those are their only home runs. Fred writes, run prevention. I think we've been a bit too hard on Bo Bichette. His run prevention has been phenomenal. Too bad it's his offense that's doing the preventing. That's pretty good. Jonah writes, Evan, it's the 5th game of the season. It's currently the bottom of the 6th inning. Oh, that's when they had the 2 on and nobody out. Jared Young is playing over Brett Beatty. Dickie Lovelady is still on the team, and it really seems like we can't buy a big hit. I try so hard to be positive, but my eyes are telling me otherwise. Anyways, regardless of how this game ends, I'm impressed Senga went 6, and other than the rough 3rd inning, I thought he pitched okay. The command wasn't quite there, but he showed some grit. No, absolutely. I think honestly, that's probably the headline from this game. Like more than even the LD offense, because, it's a slump right now. It's a collective slump. I think it's too extreme to get that nuts about it. But Kodai Senga is one of the biggest questions coming into this season. He just is. And for him to not just go 6 innings and allow 2 runs, which on the surface is good, but as we talked about, the way he battled, the adversity he overcame, it's a really good sign. And I think the next test that Senga's going to face is, does he pitch Sunday? Right? His 5th day is Sunday in San Francisco against the Giants. And if they do decide to allow him to make that start, which I'm skeptical about, we'll see. How does he do on regular rest, right? That's the other challenge that he faces. So Kodai is going to have a lot of little boxes to check over his first few starts. But man, that'll be a big one once it happens.
And also just to say, I know the 3rd inning where he gave up the 2 runs, but I mean, really, it wasn't that bad of an inning. It was more Luis Robert just couldn't play the ball well. Like, I mean, he misjudged a ball to center field, and then he overthrew. I mean, I think that Weatherholt would have ended up scoring anyway that inning. But, I mean, that's why 2 runs scored rather than 1 run.
No doubt about it. I'm trying to get through all the Dickie Lovelady emails because there's a lot of complaining. I think we've gone over that. The reason he comes into a game like this, as frustrating as it is you're thinking about tomorrow if you're Carlos Mendoza. You're thinking about the day after that if you're Carlos Mendoza. I'll include this email. I don't even know why I should read it, but I guess I'll do it because I know a lot of Met fans feel this way. Frank writes, Stern the genius. I know it's 5 games, but Bo Bichette is hitting 095, Marcus Simeon's hitting 125, Brandon Nimmo's hitting 364, and Pete Alonso's hitting 316. And how about Pete hitting his first home run as an Oriole off of old friend Jacob deGrom? Sean writes, Mendoza doesn't make it past July as manager. I hope not. Dickie Lovelady and these lineup decisions, not like he got much help from Stearns there. This team is still 2025 all over again. They look and feel exactly the same. I'm not buying into this. They'll have to earn the trust, but so far, it's a lot of bad. David writes.
Hold on real quick, because the Dickie Lovelady thing, like, I know you said, like, he's here, he's eating the innings, and then he's going to probably get tossed eventually, right? But at what point in time did we not learn a lesson last year? You kind of have to go and try to win every game. I know this game wasn't out of hand. This game wasn't, you know what? Let Lovelady go out there and just blow it up, and whatever happens. You can't give away games. And I know he only gave up 1 run, but still, like, that 1 run is important.
Yeah, but here's the problem. So I get that, and I think that's the majority of people's view, but the Mets are going to play a game on Wednesday afternoon. It's the rubber game of this 3-game series. They're going to have their ace on the mound and Freddie Peralta. If they had used Huascar Brazoban, if they had used Luke Weaver, not that they wouldn't be available for tomorrow, but if you then use them tomorrow, they're completely unavailable for Thursday's game. And so what it becomes is like this avalanche, right? What is it? Is that what it is when the snow starts to, like, it's a snowball and it continues to snowball and get bigger and bigger? Like, you make issues worse. And that's why managers like Carlos Mendoza and Aaron Boone and others, they're not hunting the game down to. That's not a fair term. It's, hey, let's play the risk-reward game. If we use one of our better relievers during the stretch of games where, they're playing every single day, does it make sense to use them in a spot like this where maybe they hold the lead or they hold the deficit, and maybe you come back, but maybe not. In fact, the odds say you're not. And then it hurts you on Wednesday, and it hurts you on Thursday, and it hurts you on Friday. Like, one thing I feel good about is that the game they play on Wednesday, or today, depending on when you're listening to this, Rico, the rubber game of the 3-game series, I don't want to call it a big game, like it's freaking April 1st, but it's a rubber game of a 3-game series. It's a swing game. That's how I phrase it. It's the difference between being 4-2 and 3-3, right? So I think we're going to sit down, or you'll be listening at work or whatever you guys are doing to watch or consume this game, thinking, hey, this is like kind of important, whether it is or not. And now the Mets have a completely fresh bullpen, like completely. You would think that every single reliever in that Met bullpen will be available for Wednesday's game with their ace on the mound. And so you're in better position to win that game than if you went a little bit balls to the wall in this game. So I know I'm the minority here, and I'm not saying I loved it, because like when Dickie Lovelady, I don't want Dickie Lovelady on the team. Like, that's probably my biggest issue. My biggest issue is, why is he here? It should have been Austin Warren coming into this game. Quite frankly, it should have been so. And I'm not trying to tell you Sandy Koufax, but I trust him more. I think he's better. But that's why managers make moves like that. It's a long freaking season, especially when you're in the middle of a stretch like this where you play every day. And when I'm sitting there Wednesday afternoon trying to get that victory, I know, and I bet you Mendy will manage it this way, I got my full arsenal of relievers to go get that victory.
I understand that, but I still, you can't play for tomorrow, because there's too many games today that you lose that tomorrow means nothing.
All right.
I mean, and we saw that last year.
All right. Robert writes, hey, Evan, David Stern says we will emphasize defense. By defense, he means teaching 2 corner infielders the position. He nailed it. Oh, and the first baseman isn't even going to play the position all the time. But we need to protect him and his health, right? Center field misjudging fly balls, but it's okay. He had a walk-off, so he gets a pass. And Dickie Lovelady pitching for a 3rd time in 4 days. Why, oh, why is he still on the roster? So to recap, we're not playing good defense. Our pitching has been sucking, and our offense through after opening day can take the rest of the month off. It's only the first week, but like every game, but like last year, every game matters. Let's hope it's like 2024, and after a few guys get DFA'd, they'll go on a run. Thanks for the therapy session. I got to tell you, I am not thrilled with losing 3-0. I'm not thrilled with watching the LD offense. We got to calm down. I mean, I'm going to say this to the emailers, and I understand, like, if you're going to email the Rico Brogna in the midst of a 3-0 loss, the odds are you're going to email angry. You're going to email pissed off. So I understand that the calmer Met fan is probably not filling the Rico B mailbox, but let me be the calmer Met fan. All right? And I'm not predicting anything because the predictions are done. We did that before the season. I'm here to remind you that it's 5 games into the season. 5. Bo Bichette is a lot better than the way he's played. I kind of believe he'll wake up. I don't know if I believe Marcus Simeon's going to wake up because he just may be a declining player. But Bo Bichette is going to be better. And I think that really, believe it or not, makes a huge difference. I hate to put it on one guy, but if he gets an extra couple of hits with runners in scoring position, we may feel a little bit different about this offense. But I do look at Wednesday's game. I don't like to say a big game. I mean, they're 3-2. We're 5 games into the season. But it is a swing game. That's how I'd phrase it. A swing game. It changes how we feel in the midst of this trip. Like, win a series. That's the name of the business right now. Win a series. In fact, I was actually doing the math on this. Do you know how many series the New York Mets play this season? If you had to guess, it's 162 games in a season. How many series do the Mets play in 2026?
I hate this question because I'm not even thinking, but 50.
By the way, not a terrible guess.
Okay.
So the answer is 52.
Okay. All right.
They will play 46 3-game series and 6 4-game series. 0 2-game series. Those don't even get scheduled anymore. And obviously that can change based on rainouts. So this will be the second of the 46 3-game series they are going to play this season. The name of the game is winning series. And there is no excuse, because on Wednesday afternoon at Busch Stadium, the New York Mets are throwing their ace. Now, Freddie Peralta could pitch a hell of a game. If the LD offense continues to not score runs, that's a problem. But they are facing a lefty, which is nice to see. They haven't faced a lefty all season long. So Francisco Alvarez will certainly be in the lineup. Mark Vientos should be in the lineup. I mentioned earlier what I would do is I would sit Carson Bench. I'd give him a day. I'd play Brett Beatty in right field. This is exactly how I would line it up. This is how I'm going to line it up for you. Alvarez behind the plate, Bichette at third, Lindor at short, Simeon at second, Polanco at first, Vientos at DH, Beatty in right, Robert Jr. in center, Soto in left. That's how I'd line it up. By the way, it sucks that Tyrone Taylor can't get a start. I think the day to start Tyrone Taylor probably would have been maybe yesterday when they were sitting Luis Robert Jr. But either way, that's what I would line up. And you got your ace on the mound. You got a fresh bullpen. Go win the freaking series. That's it. That's it. Go win the series. And how about the offense cleanse itself by scoring 7 or 8 runs? That would be nice, and I think would make everybody feel a little bit better. But Met fans, calm the F down. We're 5 games into the freaking season.
Just one last thing about the limp, offense here. The Rays, who are not a very high-scoring team, they scored 23 runs in the 3-game series versus the Cardinals last time. The Mets so far have 4.
Doesn't mean anything.
It's going to take a lot to get to that 23.
It doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, it just means that the Cardinals pitching isn't as great as they're the way they're pitching to us is not how they pitch to the Rays.
We already know that. I don't need an example of what they did against the Tampa Bay Rays. Andre Palante had a 5.5 ERA last year. Yes. We get it. Ryan Stanek pitched a scoreless inning. We get it. I don't need examples about what happened against Tampa Bay. It don't mean anything. Look, the Mets didn't get shut down by good pitching. They got shut down by themselves. And they're going to have to pick it up. And I still have a level of confidence that they will. So everybody, calm the hell down. Here's what I'll tell you. The series will end on Wednesday afternoon, and we will give you our series-ending Rico Brogna. If you like to consume this stuff live, I would advise probably around 6 or 6:30 on the WFAN YouTube page. And if you're downloading the podcast, just wait. It'll be there, certainly for your commute on Thursday morning. But we appreciate you downloading the Rico Brogna or hanging out with us live on YouTube. I am going to warn you, the everyday Ricos, I can't imagine it's going to last all season long. But we're off to a good start. We've Rico'd after every game the Mets have played this season. And that will continue with the finale of this 3-game series. And then the West Coast in San Francisco will really challenge us. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know what I would tell you? Thursday, certainly a possibility. I guarantee a Rico after Friday, especially these 4-game series. I don't like to do 4-game series recaps where we're talking about all 4 games. So we'll always try to split it up with the 4-game series that they have. But either way, my advice, download the Rico Brogna wherever you download your podcast, so it's always in your inbox, and make sure you subscribe to the WFAN YouTube page so you never miss an episode. I leave you guys with this. Take a deep breath. We are not quite yet in Panic City. Thanks for listening to Rico Brogna.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rico Brogna podcast. It's amazing, isn't it? Make sure you download it now to keep it on you at all times.